Well, good morning. I'm back here for lesson number 2 on how to play the violin by ear. Now, I'm not a great violin player, but I do understand the notes on a violin. And so this lesson is not about technique, and you'll obviously know that I can't play the violin very well, but I do have a great understanding of how to play by ear on the violin. When I was in college, I was playing tennis, and I really loved playing tennis, just in my pastime. And one day I picked up this book on how to play tennis. And I read this book, and it said, it gave me some strategies, where to stand in the court when the ball's coming this way, where to be here. And by reading that book, I improved my tennis game probably 50% just by knowing where to stand on the court. So what I'm trying to do here is show you how to improve your violin playing by having some head knowledge. And you can call it music theory if you want to. When I was in college, we took all these music classes on try to understanding intervals and how notes relate to each other. But I'm going to give you a little bit of that as we go along with these lessons. One of the things I've noticed about musicians is that you can have a really great concert pianist who can read the notes and he can play everything great, or a concert violinist and they can play things and memorize songs and be able to play really great pieces. But if you said, "Hey, play me a song by ear," they can't do it because they haven't learned how to do that. And so that's what these lessons are about. Is I want to teach you how to hear the notes and translate what you hear in your head to your when you're playing the violin. So hang on, and we're going to get started here in just a second. In my first lesson, I taught you the major scale, starting on a key on the third string. So it goes like this. Now notice something here. When I'm playing these notes, I'm going to play an open string, and then I'm going to play this with my finger here, and then I'm going to reach up here and hit this one, and then I'm going to lay my other finger just past that. Not as, if you notice, this one's closer. That's a half step. So you got from there to there is a whole step. See, there's more space. If you move that finger down, you'd have a half step, but we're going to do a whole step. So you got, once you start fingering, that's there, and then a whole step and a half step. Go to the next string, whole step, half step. So if you'll notice, when you're doing that, you have the pattern on two strings that are open string, whole step, half step, and the next string is exactly the same. Open string, whole step, half step. So you can, once you get that down, that little pattern is exactly the same on both strings. So practice that. Okay, in just a moment, I'm going to bring a song to you that we're going to start playing with those two strings. Okay, I'm back. Now I'm going to teach you a song called "There's No Place Like Home." Now, if you want to hear the tune, it's an old Civil War song, I believe, and you can Google that, or actually type that in on one of your search engines, YouTube or somewhere, and find people singing the song and also playing it. So I'm going to play it for you. And for reference, you can go listen to people singing it. But once you have a melody in your head, then you're listening to play that melody. So here we go. There's no place like home. Okay, you hear that melody? Now remember, I told you that you had on that scale, you got that note, half step, whole step, half step. So those are the same notes that I was teaching you in the scale that we're now using on that melody. See that whole step, half step there? So when you're trying to play the melody, you hear it in your head, la la la, and then you find the note, la la la. And if you go la la, that's not right. But you go back. Well, I know these are the three notes on that line, so I'm gonna go, that's not right, so I'm gonna come down and find that note. How about that? I found it right. So the object here is to hear the melody in your head and find the starting note, which the song I'm giving you, this is a starting note. And if I get a note wrong, I'm gonna feel around till I find it right. That's not right. There it is. And now here's that scale. So if you know the notes in the scale, then you can feel around until you find the note that you're hearing in your head. Now let's hear what it sounds like if I'm bowing it. Now I'm not a great violin player. I'm going to stress that so you don't get discouraged because you think this guy doesn't know anything about this. But I do know about these notes. Okay, here we go. So practice that song, and in a moment I'll give you another song you can also start learning how to play. Okay, this next song is an old folk tune also called Sweet Betsy from Pike. We're going to use that same scale. Go a little bit slower now. Here we go again. See, that's those two strings, all those same notes we just learned. So practice that and try to play the Sweet Betsy from Pike. Try to play Sweet Betsy from Pike, and I'll try to play it here in just a moment. So now I'm going to try to play Sweet Betsy from Pike. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so that's my lesson for today, and we'll come back in a few days and do another one, and see if you can't pick out a tune or pick these tunes out. Now, what I do recommend is that you pluck it rather than bow it to start with. When I was taking piano lessons, we'd have these songs we'd play that had two independent things going with both hands, and so they would tell us to practice with one hand and practice with the other hand and get to where we could really play well the individual parts with each hand, and then we'd put them together. So our fingers kind of develop finger memory. So that's kind of what I'm wanting you to do on this is to pluck it rather than bow it, because bowing, if you're already good at bowing, you could just probably go ahead and bow and play it. But if you're not good at that, that slows you down. And what I'm wanting you to do right now is learn the notes in your left hand. Okay, so it's easy just to move that thumb up and down and play those, because you don't have to think about that. So practice that, and we'll get back with you another day. And don't forget to like this video and share it. And if you could subscribe to my channel, I really would appreciate it. It'll encourage me to do more of these videos. Talk to you later, and have yourself a nice day.